Hi guys, thank you for joining us today for yet another live session for the PTE Academic Test. We are coming live from PTE Parramatta office and we are basically going to talk about some general tips and strategies which will help you in doing well for your PTE Academic Test. So my name is Aditya. I will be walking you through about the PTE Academic. So the PTE Academic Test has a number of sections, 4 primary sections, which are speaking, writing, reading, and listening. Each section has a subdivision, like speaking section has 5 categories, which are read aloud section, describe images, retell lecture, repeat sentences, and answer short question. Now, one of the key things while you are practicing for speaking section is to ensure that you're not only focusing on the content, but you are paying utmost attention about your oral fluency as well as your pronunciation. Now, the best way to do so while practicing about this section is to make sure that you try with like practicing with some speech-to-text softwares. Now, one of the best softwares that you can find, which is free of cost, is Dictation.io. I'll just mention the name of the website on the comments. So Dictation.io is a very useful website if you're practicing your read aloud section, and it will help you see that how many words is the computer understanding. And based on that, you can evaluate that how many words are the computer was not able to understand and things like that. Now, another thing that you should do while practicing your speaking section is to make sure that you always record yourself while you're practicing either your read aloud section, describe images, or retell lecture. The primary reason to do so is that while you are practicing, you are generally unaware of the fact that how many times you are hesitating. Unless and until you're hesitating all your way through the practice, that is a separate case altogether. But while you are giving a decent answer, you'll see that sometimes we do stammer or stutter in some cases. So recording yourself on your phone is a very good way to see that where the hesitations were, what words you were mispronouncing, and things like that. So always record yourself and then listen to yourself after you are done recording. And as I mentioned, for read aloud section, one of the best softwares to use is Dictation.io. It's a free software available on Google Chrome, and you can operate it only on Google Chrome, not on any other browser. Just read out the passages into that and see how many words were misunderstood by the computer or you were not very clear in pronouncing them. Once you have done so, identify the words that you were particularly struggling on and go on Google and just type those words and listen to the pronunciation, which you can do so by clicking on the pronunciation microphone on Google. Another thing to do is basically focusing on your writing section now. Now, writing section is basically comprised of your essays and your summarized written text. In summarized written text, one of the key things is to do that you should be able to identify what is the main reason that is being discussed or the main idea, the key thing that you need to mention. Now, try to practice as many questions as possible for this thing, because if you're unable to identify the main idea, then pretty much you're not doing it correctly. And you will be losing points not only for your writing section, but also your reading section. Next comes essays. Now, the essays on the PTE exam tend to repeat a lot. So one of the best thing to do so is that I find out what particular type of questions come and make sure that you are ready for those essay topics. One key thing is to make sure that your essay is well structured, because if your essay is not structured and the content that you're writing is not coherent, that becomes a particularly big problem for your writing section. Your score will automatically go down if your written discourse is poor. Now, in order to do so, make sure that your essay has an introduction, which basically gives some background information about the topic and clearly states your opinion. Don't use very fancy words to sugarcoat or try to get more points for vocabulary by using complex vocabulary, because your vocabulary is pretty much checked in your reading section. So you don't need to use very hi-fi words in your essays, because in doing so, people are not able to generally fit it in your sentence and makes the sentence illogical and in some cases with poor grammar. So make sure that you are not using very hi-fi words which you're not very comfortable to use in the first place. Now, make sure that your body paragraph has 3 aspects in it. It should have the main reason that you're basically supporting your essay with. You explain it and then give an example for that particular reason that you have given. Make sure that you are using at least 2 body paragraphs with suitable reasons, and then give a conclusion. Keep it short and sweet. What is important over here is try to make sure that you are using your time effectively. One of the key problems with essay writing is that people complain that I'm not good with essays. Now, the thing that is the problem is not that you're not able to write. It's about that you don't have the ideas. Now, we all know that the topics for the PTE academic test range from social problems, education, environmental problems, and sometimes it is related to a mixture of education and social problems. Now, make sure that you start reading things about it. A good way to do is like go on YouTube and start watching videos which are current, like issues that are bothering our society in the present time. You can go on walks and start watching some videos, things like biomimicry, about design and things like that. One of the most common topics which is coming these days is about how design influences the behavior of people living in those buildings, or the performance in workplace with the design of the building, how it is being influenced. Now make sure that you practice these essays and start going through some video content or read some things about it so that you have ideas to present in your essay. Now coming to the reading section, for reading section, it is very critical that you start improving your vocabulary. If you have a good amount of time at hand, say a month or two for your PTE exam that you have planned, make sure that you start improving your vocabulary from now itself. Because though many people think that vocabulary is something that you'll be able to manage, you'll be able to do the elimination technique to get rid of the blanks that you're not which are not fitting in. But it is very difficult to do so. And if you start eliminating and evaluating each word like that, you will more often than not be unable to complete that particular exercise of the fill in the blanks. So time management becomes a very big problem. So start practicing your vocabulary. A good way to do so is going on vocabulary.com. Make yourself an account over there. It's free of cost. Start practicing. Make sure that like if you have 1 month at hand, then start practicing like 20 words a day. And whatever options you're unaware of, start taking notes of those words. If you have 2 months, like you can set the pace basically for this thing. But vocabulary is very important. And if you haven't given the PT and you don't believe me, your first attempt for the PT exam will be a good eye opener, because in this thing you will see that the words which will come in the exam will be quite difficult and very hard to understand in some cases. Now, time management is another critical aspect. So when you're practicing, make sure that you do not leave your stopwatch behind. Always practice time bound, because in the exam you will have only 35 to 41 minutes to solve the reading section. So you should start developing a habit to practice with timer going on, because that will add pressure as well to you. Now coming to the last section, which is the listening section. One best thing is that you should start watching English movies or TV shows and things like that. Start watching short videos of TED on YouTube. Basically, you should start getting used to listening to English and understanding it. First, watch the video without subtitles, then see the same video with subtitles, just to check whether you're understanding the right thing. Because recently I've been coming across a lot of students who struggle in listening section, particularly because they're not able to understand what the audio file is talking about. So listening is something that you cannot improve overnight. If you're not used to understanding particular accents and things like that, start watching videos. Start becoming more comfortable with British, Australian, and American accent. Because in our day-to-day lives, it might be so that we're not getting in touch with people from different nationalities or different accents. So start getting used to it by watching videos on YouTube. Start watching movies. If you don't have a Netflix account, I would recommend making a Netflix account and watching English TV shows and movies and things like that. So just to sum up, for different sections of the PTE, say for the speaking section, one of the important things is to practice read aloud with dictation.io. For describe images and retail lecture, make sure that you are always recording yourself and then listening back to the audio file that you have recorded. For writing, start improving your grammar, especially use of comma, and make sure that your content that you're writing is well organized. For reading section, start improving your vocabulary from now itself. If you have time, make yourself an account on vocabulary.com. And for listening, one of the simplest thing to do is to start watching English movies and TV shows so that you become used to it. Start watching videos on YouTube of TED videos. They are very informative. It will not only help you in improving your listening, but it will also give you ideas to write about in your essays about different people's experience about different things. So that's all from me from Aussie's Parramatta office. My name is Aditya. Stay tuned. We will be posting more videos about PTE, and in probably the next class, we'll be talking more in detail about the speaking section, and we'll give you more tips and tricks on how to improve that. That's all from me from here. Have a great day and keep practicing for your PTE academic test.